Good morning, Hosho staff, students, and families. Ya'atebin, we're ready to start our day. So please stand. Place your right hand over your heart. Voices are off, bodies are still, eyes are on the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, October 29th. And we're ready to start our day. There are no birthdays today, so happy unbirthday to everyone. Let's listen to some music from Mrs. Neff. This is the piece that she selected for us. See if you can remember what it's called and the composer. Do you remember? Johann Sebastian Bach, and the piece is Toccata and Fugue, and it's very serious sounding, isn't it? Very dramatic, and sounds like if you've ever been in a church, that organ music is very strong and powerful. Okay, friends, how about one selection from a while ago? Also very dramatic. See if you can remember this one. Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Okay, one more dramatic one. We all know that one, right? It's the Imperial March from John Williams, right, from Star Wars. I wonder if anybody's dressing up as a character from Star Wars for Halloween this year. Or if you have some Halloween plans. I know we can't go out trick-or-treating, but I hope you have some plans if you celebrate the holiday. Okay, let's do our poem. Our poem this week comes from Lewis Carroll from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. How doth the little crocodile improve his shining tail and pour the waters of the Nile on every golden scale? How cheerfully he seems to grin, how neatly spreads his claws, and welcomes little fishes in with gently smiling jaws. We talked a little bit yesterday, if you saw the announcement yesterday, about how that's different than the way Alfred Lord Tennyson describes the eagle. Remember, the eagle descends like a thunderbolt and gets its prey. But Lewis Carroll talks about the crocodile being kind of a little more crafty and sneaky, trying to smile and lure the prey to him, right? And then we think about Emily Dickinson when she talked about the snake, right? She's zero to the bone and she jumps back, she's away from that snake. See how poets can look at nature and describe it in different ways and often tell us a little bit about nature and a little bit about the poet, right? So how Alfred Lord Tennyson looks at nature, how Lewis Carroll looks at nature, and how Emily Dickinson looks at nature, all a little different. How do you look at nature? Are you afraid of it? Do you think it's kind of sneaky and conniving? Do you think it's powerful and strong? Do you think of it as dangerous? How do you think of it? Or maybe you just think of it as beautiful, like some of our romantic poets. So can be looked at many different ways. So can art, for that matter. Who's our artist this week? Caravaggio. Caravaggio. Let's see all of his paintings here. The very first one we talked about is Card Sharps. Oh, it's over here. Here we go. Card Sharps, remember? The dramatic. And see how they're dressed for the time? That's how young people dressed back then. And we also learned that he's cheating at cards, and they did that back then too. And then the still life, basket of fruit, remember? And what was different about how Caravaggio did the basket of fruit compared to other artists at the time? Remember, he showed it as more realistic, that some of it's decaying, some of the leaves are kind of crumbling, so it's probably exactly what it looked like sitting on the table. But when artists at the time used to paint, they used to paint it making it look perfect. But he made it look more realistic, right? Just like this, a little more realistic, right? Realistic. Now this one is called, oh, I want to make sure I get the title right. I just shifted all my papers around here. The Calling of St. Matthew. If you know in the Bible, when Jesus went around to call his disciples to him, the apostles, Matthew was the tax collector. So this is a painting. And remember we talked about that back in the day, the Catholic Church would commission lots of the paintings. And so that's why they depict something from the Bible. So here we have the Calling of St. Matthew, and he's leaning over his money and counting his money. And you see how there's like a light that comes in, like a stage light, and the dark, light and dark, remember Mr. Berg was telling us about that? The light and dark, and the looks like a light shining down, like a spotlight showing him. But isn't it interesting? I don't think this is the way people in Jesus' time actually dressed. This is more like period time for the time that this was painted. So I also think that's interesting to point out. Okay, like we said, no birthdays. We've been talking about that this week is a very important week. Make sure everybody goes out and votes. If you know somebody who is 18 and older, make sure they have a sticker like this that proves that they voted. It's very important. We only have a few days left. Election day is Tuesday, and we will know who the next, well, hopefully we know on Tuesday, but we may not. It may take a few days to figure out all the votes, but we'll know who our next person is who's in the executive branch of our government. And how many branches of government do we have? 3. And he's in the executive, right? So we have the executive branch. Then we have where the justices and judges are is in the judicial branch. And we also have the legislative branch, where our representatives who we elect go and represent us at the federal level. So they go to Washington, D.C. and say all the things that are important to the people of New Mexico. And so they all support the U.S. Constitution, or they're supposed to. And we have the first 10 amendments. The first 10 things that were added to the Constitution are called the Bill of Rights, written by James Madison, who later would become the 4th President of the United States. And so we have the First Amendment. Let's say it together. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Okay, the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Third Amendment. No soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner prescribed by law. Right. Fourth Amendment, the one that we're currently learning. I'll say a piece, you repeat. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects, against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Good job. Okay, friends, we're going to continue to practice that. So announcements, be looking in the mail for the first quarter report cards. There may be a little sticker or a piece of paper on it indicating that you may have an incomplete. So if you do have an incomplete, don't panic, it's okay. Lots of people, most people have incomplete someplace. Every student in the school, I think, there's a few people who have complete passes, but almost everyone had an incomplete somewhere. It's okay. If it's in math or literacy or English, then you need to get with the teacher right away so that we can figure out what we need to do. If it's in another class, we're going to try to make it up, but we're just going to keep going and see how we do. Just keep working harder, or work in this quarter, doing this quarter's work, and it would get to the end of the year, and if we need to, we can go back and fix some of those things. But if you just keep going and keep working hard, then hopefully we can just say, okay, took us a while to get going, but we started to get going and it was okay. But if it's in math or literacy or English, you need to talk to your teacher so we can get those incompletes taken care of so that you can move on to the next grade level. No other announcements that I can think of, so let's do our student pledge. I will do the good, I will learn the true, and I will love the beautiful. And I hope you have a great day today.